I am Loretta Frank, um, maybe better known as Loretta Fox. I'm in television. I'm an entrepreneur, and in about 7 days, I will be Loretta Frank de Salinas. I'll be wife.
Um, I'm Raul Salinas Jr. I am a radiologist technologist for the VA hospital. And also in 7 days, I will be also known as husband.
Frank de Salinas.
I think the Salinas.
The first time he proposed, he actually was talking to my dad, and my dad was here visiting for 2 months. And about a week before he left, my dad asked him, he says, you know, where's your dad at? And he says, well, my dad has already passed on. And my dad says, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And he said, well, you could be my dad. If you let me marry your daughter, you could be my dad as well. And my dad said, oh, well, I can't do that. You have to talk to her. So that was the first time, and yes, I was shocked by that. I was like, oh, did you do that in front of me? I thought that was a private meeting.
No, because he has said that if I were to, my father-in-law is very old-fashioned, so that I had to ask him for her hand. You know, in my culture is the same thing. You have to ask the dad. And it was just it just presented itself just like everything in our relationship. It just falls into place. And so I kind of took both of them by surprise that I went ahead and how I asked them, you know, asked my father-in-law for his daughter's hand. And I think it shocked him. I think he didn't want to kind of, you know, he kind of pedaled back a little bit. And I was, well, you got to ask her.
He said he had eyes for me.
That he said, I have, that if,
I'm screwing this one up.
no, that you have eyes for him, or he has eyes for you. And he says, well, Dad, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, what about if he likes me? What about what about if he's a nice guy? And he just stayed quiet. And his thing, I think his big thing was, you know, to be a provider, to be a man, to be somebody that respects a woman. And that, because that's what he is, you know? So Loretta put it into this words like, you know, Dad, well, what about if he's like you? What about if he's strong and he's a good provider and he treats me good, he loves me and he shows me that? And he kind of took that back and he says, yeah, okay, you know, I think I see that, you know. But at first, I don't think, you know, it was kind of that initial blow. I think that he says that his word was, he doesn't have the same face, meaning we're not the same race, you know. And that was his way of saying that. But once again, like when Loretta brought into focus, said it this way, he was okay with it. I think his thing was, hey, he's a nice guy. He knows how to, I see how he cooks for me. And he takes care of me also, you know, because it was a point that I would take care of him also. I think he was okay with at that point, my nickname is Rock because of him, because he couldn't say my name.
He couldn't say Raul.
He couldn't say Raul, you know. So the nickname Rock came from him because he couldn't say my name. So I take that with a lot of pride when that comes, you know, when people say it to me, when Loretta's family says Rock. It reminds me where it came from. You know, it's not a nickname from like somebody gave you from the street or something like that. It's a nickname that my father-in-law gave to me. So I take that great pride in when they call me Rock.
One of the days that I totally broke down with it is because, one, everyone knows I refuse to do doctor work with my dad. I can't do it because I'm too emotionally attached. And this happens to be the day that, guess who took him to the doctor? I was a wreck. I was horrible there because as the doctor says to me, well, this has progressed and we're going to have to put him on medication. I couldn't handle it. I went to the bathroom and I'm in tears, like, but I don't want him to see it. So I'm in the bathroom. And he and I had been, you know, talking a lot via email, but not over the phone. And I said to God, I was like, God, you cannot do this to me and leave me without somebody. If you take my dad, you cannot leave me with nothing. And I mean, when I tell you that it was a violent prayer in the bathroom of the doctor's office, snotting and tears, I mean, look how much makeup I wear. That was awful. So at that moment, my phone rings. it's him. He's never called. And I look at the phone. I try to clean up, answer the phone, hello. And he's like, is everything okay? But he's never heard my voice before because we've only communicated via email and online. And even that's been inconsistent because I traveled so much, I didn't have time to like reply or be consistent. So technically expecting him to call, actually, I didn't even remember giving him the phone number. So I really didn't expect him to call. So at that moment when that happened, I had to tell him, this is not a good time. Can I call you back later? And he says, okay. About a couple hours later, we're at dinner. I'm still like crying, trying to hold it in together. And he calls back. And I look at the phone like, oh, okay. I answer the phone. I says, do you mind if I call you back a little bit later? And he says, okay. Then it's like maybe 2 o'clock Texas time. That's around midnight California time. And I get a text. And I look at the text and I said, how dare he? This is so rude. He doesn't know me like that. But at the same time, I was sitting in the bed crying, and I really did need to talk to somebody. So I said, give me 5 minutes. I cleaned up my face, and I gave him a call. And the first thing he said is, hey, is everything okay? I really wanted to lie about it, but my voice was like broken. I mean, I was broken. I said, no, not really. My dad has Alzheimer's. And immediately, what did you tell me?
I think it was a surprise to me because I like she says, I never have heard her voice. But I could hear something was wrong. And you know how you ask that question very politely to people, hey, are you okay? And, people lie to you. When it progressed that night, once again, I asked her the question. I mean, we're talking for like the beginning of 2 minutes. And then I asked her, I said, hey, once again, she didn't sound right. She didn't sound like I said, I just didn't know her. But I knew something was wrong. So I asked her again. I said, is everything all right? And she says, my dad has Alzheimer's. I found out today that my dad's Alzheimer's progressed to the point that it's in the final, the beginning of the final phases of Alzheimer's. So me having gone through that with my mother months prior in April, and maybe fresh out of my mind, I hadn't really talked about that.
He broke down crying immediately on the phone, and he's like, oh no, do everything that you can. And he's like giving me advice, but what he didn't realize is that I was broken because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to expect. So he became my source of information. So I started bombarding him with questions left and right. I'm like, questions. The conversation ended around 5 hours later because I was falling asleep. I didn't know that he also worked nights, so he had energy at 2 o'clock in the morning. But around when I looked up and I saw the sun coming in, I was like, okay, well, hey, I'll talk to you later. I went to sleep, hung up. I mean, it wasn't no, it's good to talk to you. I was just like, okay, thanks,
I gotta go.
Good night.
Bye. So, to me, it was kind of weird to me because it's not like she said, hey, well, it was nice talking to you.
Let's talk
again. Let's see you later. I will call you. No, it's like she did that drop the mic and walked up the stage kind of deal. Like, hey, I got to go back. Boom, and I'm holding the phone like, okay, I guess that went well.
Well, over a couple of, I think I didn't come back for a couple of weeks at this point. So we started talking like every day, and every conversation was long. Every long conversation, we discovered we had more in common. Like our mothers had us at like 43. Okay, first of all, that's old. That's old. Because now our parents are like 85. Yeah. His dad was born 1914, so technically he'd be 101 this year. So technically, we're raised with the same type of era of morals. So
it's incredible, to be honest with you, because the more we talked, the more we saw that, like she said, that our lives were kind of parallel, even though that we came from different cultures, different, parents very, very far away. She's in California, I was in Texas. I found out that, she was the youngest. I'm the youngest.
His birthday is 5 days before mine.
Mine's in December 12th,
I'm
December
17th. Which, I don't know if I necessarily believe in all that, zodiac sign stuff, but whoa, if that has anything to do with how he is and how I am, oh my gosh, it's like, it's so easy. It's almost like I can predict when it's building up. it allows me to back down. And I think it's a perfect match.
Yes, it is.
Because I know he's crazy.
Yes.
But I guess that has to say that I'm a little crazy too.
Yes,
right?
we're fiery, but we know we have we have heart, and we have.
We're the kindest personalities on the planet.
I believe so. I think I tend
and
to
fiery.
think,
But I think that keeps it interesting, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we tend to forgive very quickly. Also,
Yeah.
we might have sometimes what I call amnesia of how people treat us, and then we forget about that, and then we get mad at that point in time. We get fiery, and
we don't just get mad; we get fiery hot.
Yeah, like a
jalapeno hot.
like a firecracker hot, kinda. But we leave it there. I don't hold grudges. I leave it right there, and also she does too. And I think that's a good trait to have, not to hold grudges, not to bring it with you.
The fortunate thing is that we don't have that problem with each other. We just have it with the outside world. And the good thing is that I'm able to understand and calm him down when it's happening, and likewise. So
yeah,
that's a great match to have in the same home with you.
It is.
When we started dating, the first time that I actually saw his face, he came in. He had this T-shirt. I would say maybe it was military style T-shirt, buttoned up, belt together. I mean, it was so stiff. I was like, Jesus Christ, he looks like a suburban dad.
Well, I was, but a divorce.
No. He was. We were in Uptown Dallas.
We went to the
social house.
The social house.
Uptown Dallas. And when he walked in, he looked like Leave It to Beaver's dad. That's what he looked like.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh,
I
love talking to him. I love being around him, but Jesus Christ, he looked, and not to mention he was nervous, so he was sweating. That didn't help.
No, it didn't help. I was wearing a plaid polo shirt. It was plaid.
It was Leave It to Beaver.
It was a Leave It to Beaver kind of deal. Collared. Just pressed down, very,
militant.
Very military style. And when I saw her, I said, I thought she was very gorgeous. I thought she was gorgeous. She was had a beautiful. My thing is, two things that I love about her, and I love her eyes and I love her smile.
Speaking of that night, he told me that, oh my God, your lashes are so long. They're like tarantula legs.
Because they were flapping. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They were just like.
They were like fanning. I was like,
yeah. But
I was in my cute mode.
Yeah,
but it made him so nervous that after we spent, 4 hours at dinner? That's a long time for dinner. We walk out, Valet goes to get the car, and we're both standing there. His car came, and he said, okay. And he just walked to his car, left me hanging. I was like, whoa, maybe that didn't go so well. I got in my car and drove home.
What it was, I was very in awe of her. I feel like I didn't know what else to say. It's like you forget, how, I guess I didn't believe it. I don't believe in cliches. But when it's happening to me, I laugh, I smile, and I say, this is a cliche that people talk about. And I was so in awe of this person. I just didn't know. I wasn't tongue-tied, but I acted like a nerd. Like I didn't know what to do. I was like an inept person. I didn't know what to say. And I just forgot to give her a kiss in the cheek, and I'll see you later. See you later. I just saw my car. I said bye, and I just turned around, went to the car.
You could have gave me some dap. You could have said, "All right, holla."
But I didn't do that. But even when I was in the car, and I know you're not supposed to text and drive, but I did text and drive. I said that I enjoyed her company very much, and I thought that she was very beautiful. So.
And I said, I enjoy your company as well. So it doesn't matter what this turns into. I believe that we'll always be friends.
Well, that kind of crushed me a little bit. You don't want to hear that you're in that friend zone on the first date. So, but I'm a very determined person.
That persistent.
when I like something or I care about something, I'm very determined, and so I started pursuing her. I started, if somebody likes you, I think anything that you think about them, I think you make them know. I'm in that philosophy that I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know that I'm thinking about you at that particular time. She calls it cheesy. I call it love.
Call it cheesy.
Well, you know, well, it is. I'm a very romantic person. I am very, sometimes to the point that I don't believe in that. I don't want to tell you what I feel. My philosophy stems from my father passing away and me not ever telling him how I love him.
Well, I tell you what, he makes up for it now, though.
Yes.
In fact, so much so that what you ended up doing, I want to say just a few months in, maybe 3 months in, he tells me, so, you know I'm going to marry you. And I was like, oh, you're at 10 and I'm like at 7. Slow down a little bit. And he says, nope, you'll catch up. And I says, I don't know. And it kind of scared me because I did really enjoy being with him. And we were pretty much hanging out with each other almost like every day.
So it became an inside joke. I said, okay, Einstein, you know, since I'm at 5 and you're at 2 this week, it became an inside joke that, you know, that I would call her CPA or something like that, or accountant, or, you know, or whatever. But it became an inside joke because of that she says, well, you're at 10 and I'm at 5.
Well, that's true. I mean, you know, no one ever wants anybody to run off without them. And I was afraid at this point that what if I never got to the same point? And if that was the case, I didn't want to hurt him because I already cared about him that much. But at the same point, we're looking at like 3 to 5 months into this thing. Like, you just don't know. And that also was the month that my dad was coming to visit. So I knew I had a lot on my plate. And I didn't know if I'd be able to really spend time with him. And I didn't want to hurt him. So I was kind of protecting him because I had a lot of obligations. But during those obligations, it actually worked out because the day that my dad met him, not true, I did say the man from the VA is coming.
Didn't lie.
Nope, that was not a lie. My dad just fell in love with him, and immediately he said, son, do you have a wife? Do you have children? And we're sitting down at dinner because my dad invited him to dinner, and I was thinking to myself, like, oh, this is going bad. Oh my God, he's not going to be able to shut his mouth. He's going to tell that I'm dating him. I lied. Well, it worked out well because my dad is feeding him. Here, son, eat this. Eat this. I didn't exist. My sister didn't exist. My niece and my nephew didn't exist. It was just him and his new buddy. So you went to war. Yeah? Where did you serve? They had a full, couple of hours of conversation back and forth. We were silent. The next step was, okay, we're all going to leave. I think I'm going to say bye to him again. My dad says, well, come on to the house with us. See, I was like, oh, this is worse. Well, guess what? He spent the night. The first night that I did not want my dad to meet him. Not only did he come home, he spent the night, and about 5 o'clock in the morning, because they were still up talking, he says, how about we go get something to eat? I said, at 5 a.m.? He said, yeah, Whataburger's open. Yeah. My dad said, I'll have an apple pie. So they're eating apple pie and burgers at 5 a.m. in the morning. This bond was like,
from the get-go,
not good for me, because it was trouble.
But see,
my daddy stole my man.
Yeah, my father-in-law tells a story that how he met my mother-in-law. I just met my father-in-law, and he tells me this very quickly, that how he met her. He says that he's, my understanding, that he's walking down the street and he sees my mother-in-law and his mother-in-law, his future mother-in-law, and he goes up to him and he starts talking to him at a grocery store, correct? If I'm not mistaken, or something like that?
Yeah, he walks in and my mother wouldn't give him the time of day. So he figured, I should be persistent. And he started talking to her mother, which is my grandmother. And so they were pretty impressed. She was pretty impressed that the young man was in the Army and, you know, he was suited and booted, very clean cut. And so she says, well, we're leaving. He said, I'll walk you out. Take your bags. Walk him to the car. Well, my grandfather was in the car waiting for them to come out. And so my grandmother introduces my dad to her husband. They exchange words. He tell him where he's from. You know, he's a fisherman. And, well, my grandparents and my mother is from Kentucky. That's inland. There was no water. So they were intrigued by the fact that he's been on the water. He's a fisherman. He knows about tobacco, all this stuff. So my grandfather invites my father to come have dinner sometime. My dad says, well, no time better than today. So he gets in the back seat with them, drives home. my mom is sitting next to my dad like, oh. So he goes home with them. He enjoys, meets the brothers. He loves the family. They tell him, you know what? Next time you're available, come back out. Have dinner with us again. He said, I sure will. So the next week he came. The third week he came, and he walked in, and my mom had a half of watermelon and gave him the half. And he said, I got her. The thing is, he was persistent. Rock is persistent. And one day you woke up and you said, you know what? Even though you didn't like me in the beginning.
No, because the thing was, what did you know how you go back and you ask somebody, well, what did you think about me the first time that you ever saw me? You know, it's just a question you ask. What did you think? And her response was just what she says. You look like a Leave It to Beaver father.
That was like 8 months later. So
you're thinking in your mind, you want to say, I was rico suave, I was gorgeous, I was handsome, I was whatever that. But you were Leave It to Beaver dad.
Well, here's the funny thing. I was hot. I was sexy that night. And then later on you find out like, dang, where did those tarantula legs go?
They weren't real.
I became normal.
They weren't real.
And he became like the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
But I compared it to my father-in-law's story that at the beginning, the woman wasn't that interested. Not that they weren't interested, is that they were like resistant in their heart. They kind of resisted. And I told her, I said, look, that's another thing that we're parallel, that we have in common, that even beyond that your father was very persistent with your mom until he broke her down. I mean, he showed him what a man needed to be, and
he didn't break her down.
Well, he broke her down because
he just stuck around long enough.
He
for her
broke
to show
her
that
down.
She liked him too.
He broke her down. He was persistent
Smart women just don't jump in bed with somebody. They kind of wait it out and see what kind of person you are. We saw that you guys were persistent, and now we'll show you a little something.
Okay.
We'll blow you a kiss from the other side of the room.
But I believe that you know, I think she saw qualities and traits that took her back to her father. She's like she said, she is a daddy's girl.
But those are very good qualities. My dad is. It doesn't matter what my dad is. Those things I saw that were consistent, hardworking, loving, caring, loyal, dedicated, that's who you are. And so because I know what those things look like, and those things are so important to me, when I recognized it in you, how could I not want to stick around?
Yeah.
I just couldn't stroke your ego so quick. I had to wait it out. Make sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing.
And it's so like what she says, qualities that remind her of, you know, that she has seen, as she puts it. I saw qualities that I seen with my mother. My mother wasn't, you know, she always says, Rock, I'm not the type that will tell you I love you all the time. My mother was the same way. My mother's old school. My mother was like that. And I said, even to the hair, the color of hair, red. My mother had red hair, and you know, a red-headed Mexican. Come on now. But I mean, they have qualities that remind me of my mother. And I told her, I said, you know, you could take this the wrong way, or you could take it the right way. But my thing is, I see the way you are. And she says, sometimes I'm hard. Sometimes and she is, but I take it with stride. My ego doesn't get bruised, or it doesn't get broken down, because I guess that I've had a strong woman in my life, my mother, that was like that. So I knew how to handle somebody like that.
Which is wonderful, because your core value, who you are, that's who you are. And I always tell people, you know what, there's a mate out there for everybody. So if you feel like that's something that's not good about you, that's your flaw, whatever, that person will love that flaw. I've always wished that I had this soft, sultry voice, and this is no Marilyn Monroe voice. So I always just thought that was something that wasn't a turn on. For him, it is. I get to be bossy all day long. That's because you know that I'm so loving and caring.
Yeah,
it's just the tone. Huh?
It's just the tone. And to me, it's not something that is going to deter me away from the real her. I mean, you know, if you take that personally, then to some people it's like, nah, she is just not for me. Well, she is for me. and I believe that.
And you're for me.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I mean, that's
Shit, you better know so by now. Damn it, we are 7 days away.
7 days.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's done. Because you're my boo.
Yes, I'm your boo.
You're my pumpkin.
Yes, I am.
You're special.
I'm special. Yellow bud special.
Yellow
if you
bud
want.
special.
Yes. But I truly believe that in God bringing us together, I really do. Because like she says, we prayed. And I prayed. I really prayed that day that please give me somebody that I'm gonna love for the rest of my life, because, you know.
Because one day, you know, what if we were Depends or something, right?
Yes.
I mean, that coincidence just does not make that happen. Somebody's got to change.
Somebody got to change.
Somebody got to change all that.
And that's a lot. But so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I believe in, and I'm happy that I met her. I'm happy that he's brought her into my life, and he's made me very aware that, you know, this is it, and I'm gonna make the best of it, and I'm gonna have a great life with her. I know.
And now I don't have to tell my dad anymore. He's a man for the better, and I could say that's my husband.
That's right. That's correct.
Mwah.